Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is the 27th video of a playlist for cloning a Disney Plus website using MERN. In this video, we are going to make the user page for the admin. So as you know, in a previous video, we already created the list and the movies page. Now what left is just the user page. So let's go to the VS Code in here. I already run my client, admin, and API server. So let's open up our users.jsx in here. As usual, I will just going to change this div to a React fragment. Enter. Let's save it first. Instead of this React fragment, we will have a div. Oops. It's supposed to be inside of this React fragment. We will have a div with a class name equal to margin is 2, and if the device width is going to be margin is going to be 10, for the margin top is going to be 24. Wait a second. After we have the margin top is 24, we will have if the width or if the device width is equal to mg, we will have padding is 10, and then background white for the rounded is equal to 3xl. Inside of here, we will have a header component. It's supposed from the component. So yeah, let's just copy it from the list.jsx in here. So I will copy the header in here. I will copy it and then paste it here. Now it's supposed to be working. Maybe I will just go into header. And for the header, we will pass the category is equal to user, and then for the title is going to be users. It's supposed to be user, and also this tag will be a self-closing tag. Below of this header, we will have a grid component that come from the Syncfusion. For this grid component, we'll pass some attribute, like for example the ID. The ID is equal to grid com, and then data source is equal to users. I will make the state first in here. So use state first, import it, and then use the snippets. This will be users, and then for the default value is just going to be a null. And also this is going to be the closing tag of the grid component. After we have the data source, we will allow paging and then allow sorting. After we add that, we will have after that we will give it context. Context is menu items and equal to context menu items. Let me see in the list here. I'm going to copy the context menu item and then paste it below of this user state in here. Let's save it. Now inside of this grid component, we will have a columns directive. Inside of here, we will have a it's supposed to be directive. Inside of this columns directive, we will have a user grid dot map, and then it will have the item and the index for the mapping. After that, we will show the column directive tag. This one is column directive, and the parent is columns directive. For this column directive, we will give it a key. We will give this one a key. It's going to be index, and then the rest of the item is supposed to be 3, and then item. Let's save it and make the user grid. What about we just going to copy it from here? Let's just copy, and then in the users here, below of this context menu, we will have it. We are not going to have action button because this was the user. We don't need the action button, so we just need the username. This header text is going to be username, email. This is going to be email, and is admin. And this header text is going to be is admin. Let's save it. And now let's see how it looks in the website. We got some empty page here. Oh yeah, we didn't change the name for it, so we have to change it to user grid, and also delete the handle delete because we don't need that. Let's see, refresh the website. Now we got our users and our table users. Let's make the context for it. Where inside of this context, I will make a new folder called user context, and inside of here we will have the user action.js. Wait, is it using s? No. So after we have the user action, we will have user context.js, and then user reducer.js, and the last one is going to be API calls.js. Let's Control B to hide the sidebar. So the first file we are going to change is inside of the user action. User action. Here we are going to have export cons is equal to get users start equal to some arrow function here. Whoops, it's supposed to be parentheses and then curly brace, where the type is going to be get users start, and then I'm going to give it some semicolon here. After we have the start, we'll have the success and the failure. So this was going to be success, and also this is going to be success. And for the parameters, we are going to getting the users here, and also pass the users inside of the payloads. After we make the success here, we are going to make the failure one, get users failure, and for the type is also going to be failure. Let's save it, and now let's go to the user reducer. In here we are going to make the switch case functions for these users. So instead of here we will have cons is user reducer equal to state and then action, and then here inside of here we will have a switch and action dot type. So inside of this switch we will have a case. This case is going to be the get users and then start, and then it will return the users is equal to the some empty array, and then for is fetching is going to be true because it was loading, and for the error is going to be false because this was just a start, just the process. I'm going to duplicate it 2 more times, and the second one is going to be the success, and for the success we will pass action payload action.payload for the users, and for the failure here, failure is going to be the users is just going to be empty, and then is fetching is false because the process is already done and it gets some error, so false, and the error is going to be true. And also for this one, error is false, and then is fetching is also false. Let's save it. Now let's go to the API calls to make the API calls to make the request. So API calls, inside of here we will have the get function, and export cons get users is equal to, it will be some async function, that will get the dispatch because we didn't need other parameters because this one is just some getting function. That one is supposed to be arrow function. And the first thing we are going to do is make or change the type to the get user start. Here I'm going to import it. And then before we import the action here, I'm going to import Axios from Axios. Now let's save it. After we have the dispatch, we are going to make the try and and catch block. Try catch. For this catch, we'll have the error. For this try, is going to be cons. Rest is equal to await axios.get. So the method is going to be get, and then here we're for the path is going to be users, comma, and I will just going to pass the headers because we don't need or we don't have any others parameter. Oops, it's supposed to be API calls from release here. I'm going to copy the headers and then pass it in here. After we have the result, we will put it or return it with a dispatch and then get user success and then rest.data. For the error, if there's some error inside of this, we'll have a dispatch and then get users failure. Save. Now let's see how it looks. Did we got some error? If we got just a blank page, that means we don't have any error. And why is we got some blank page? That is because we are not already connecting our users.jsx with the context. And don't forget to wrap the context. Oh yeah, we don't already make the context for it. And here we have to make the context for the user. So import user reducer. Wait. Oh yeah, we don't export it. Export default and then user reducer. Let's save it. Let's see here. Okay, for this user context here, we are going to have import is equal to user reducer, and then wait, it's supposed to be user reducer here. After we have that, we will make the cons is equals for the name is going to be initial state. This is the same initial state that we have in other contexts. Initial state is equal to users, and then this for the default value is going to be 0, and is fetching is equal to false, and then error is false. And here we have the export cons. We will make the context for it. User context is equal to create context and then initial state. Let's save it. Now below of this user context, we'll have the export cons, and then in here we are going to make the user context provider, and here we are going to have the children, and remember this children is going to be the index, or I mean the app tag inside of the index.js. And then here we are going to have a text, I mean a state. Here state comma dispatch and equal to use reducer. I will import it first. This user reducer. It's going to be user reducer, I mean, and I will pass the initial state in here. I will return and then user context dot provider, and then whoops, there is supposed to be some closing tag. Okay, inside of this user context provider, we'll have a children, and then value is equal to users, and then state state.users, comma, is fetching equal to state.isFetching, comma, and then for the error is equal to state.error. And the last one is going to be the dispatch. Let's go to the index.js. Inside of the here, let me see, API source admin. Let me see, there's inside of the admin here, and then here I'm going to make the user context provider. Let's see here, it's supposed to be provider, and then I'm going to put this app inside of this user context provider. Now let's save it and see that we got some error because we already connecting our context with our front end here. Let's see. Now we finally get some error. So let me see here, and calc create context is not defined. Okay, so instead of the user context here, we forgot to import the create context in here. So let's save it and refresh the website again. Now we get our page back, but we still didn't have any data. So let's make the use effect for it. Instead of the users.jsx in here, instead of the users.jsx, I'm going to replace this users with a cons, and then users is equal, and then after we get the users, we will get the dispatch, and this is come from the use context. Import it first, and then user context. Let's save it, and then after we have this, we'll have use effect. Import it first. For this use effect, it's going to be get users. Wait, what is we name our function in here? No, not in here. Oh yeah, in here. It's supposed to be get users, not get user. So in here, get users from the API calls, and then we are going to pass the dispatch. For the parameter, it's going to be dispatch. Let's save it, and now let's see if we get our data. But if we refresh the website and then see the inspect element in here, let's see in the network. Did we get our users? We got all of our users here, but we got some error here. Cannot reading undefined users. Users. Is there something wrong? Instead of the user context in here, let's see how about instead of the user reducer. There's nothing wrong in here. We already passed the users. Let's see the API calls, and yeah, in here. Forgot to add the parentheses in here. Now let's save it and refresh the website. And that is work. And now we get our data from the users table. And I think that's it for this video. We already created our users page, and I think that was the last page for the users, for the admin I mean. And maybe in the next video we are going to make the login for the admin. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and also turn on the bell notification so that you know when I update the series. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.